What is up, guys? Beancrew49 here. We are back on the Desolation map. And I felt it was time to return to Chinatown. I got a lot of work to do. I put up a lot of facades, a lot of front... Well, facade. How do you define facade? I don't know. It's like the front part of a building, okay? But I haven't filled them up. So what I want to work on today, guys, is I want to go back to Chinatown, downtown to Chinatown, and fill up some of these interiors that I've neglected. Starting off with this Bank of America or Bank of America China branch, maybe Bank of China America branch. I'm not really sure what kind of branch it is. It's definitely not a tree branch. That's all I know for sure. Anyway, I got to work on some offices in here, and then I'm going to work on some of the interior of the meat shop. They got. I don't know if that's clear. You know, they're hanging meat there. You know when you go to Chinatown, they're hanging ducks, right? A lot of ducks hanging in windows. So we're gonna work on that building as well. A lot of interior stuff today, and I'm doing it in fast forward motion. If you hadn't noticed by now, so you know what that means, guys. That means it's creative question of the week time. You know that. My favorite part of this series, my friends, is when you guys ask me a question in the comment section below. Submit one right now so that I can answer it for next week, and I answer it. And I do my best. I spend about 15 minutes talking about what you guys prompt me to talk about, and I'm really grateful for all your questions. Last week we didn't get that many questions, but there was a good discussion. We had a good discussion last week. And I encourage that. If you want to chime in with your opinion, with your thoughts, with your theories, with your ideas, anything you want to say about the creative question of the week, put those in the comment section. We'll have a discussion. And remember, you know, I'm not the only one that has to reply to these comments. If you see a comment in the comment section and you want to reply to it, go ahead. Like, I'm trying to, you know, infuse the community ideas here. We're community guys, and we're all working together. This is not just me and you. This is you and a wider audience. So, you know, get involved in the comment section if you would, with each other. All right. So, like I said, I didn't get that many questions, but I got one really good one. And that question comes to us from Atomic Zombie Slayer. And he asks, what kind of higher dimensional beings have you made contact with? Alright, so last week I talked about time. And I think I made a comment in passing about higher dimensional beings that I've made contact with. And so Atomic Zombie Slayer wants me to elaborate on that. So thank you for that question, Atomic Zombie Slayer. I really do appreciate it. Remember, guys, this only happens because you put comments in the comment section. Right, CQOTW in front of your question, and I will peruse those. All right, so Atomic Zombie Slayer. Yes, okay. I could talk about this for days, but I'm not going to. Okay, let me just say that once you kind of unlock your psychic ability, you're exposed to the higher realms of reality, to higher dimensions. And they're not dimensions in the sense of Star Trek dimensions. They're dimensions in the sense of vibrational frequency. Basically, a psychic is open to the higher vibrational frequencies. If you consider that everything in the universe vibrates at a certain frequency and humanity vibrates at a certain frequency, unlocking your psychic powers makes you more perceptive to higher vibrational frequencies. Things that are there in our reality, but your five senses can't see them. Your sixth sense can. And that is basically all that psychic ability is. And they're not like alternate realities. They're the same reality. It's just a different aspect of it, a higher frequency aspect of it. That is what the higher realms are, and that's where the higher, we call them higher because they vibrate at a higher frequency, but that's where the higher entities exist. There's 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, and higher dimensional frequencies, and we've kind of categorized them because they all have a different aspect to them, but we'll start with the 4th and 5th densities. Okay, so basically, you know, I developed psychic powers, psychic ability that we all have. I just chosen to spend time developing mine. And the first thing I became aware of was my higher self. And basically all that is it's my energy, my soul, that exists at a higher frequency than that of Earth. Basically, you know, if you're religious, it's the soul, and that's the best way to put it. But we call it the higher self, and that's you, the part of you that exists on the 5th dimension. Basically, the 5th frequency is a better way to. We use the word dimension, but it's not a dimension. It's dimension in the classic sense, not dimension in the sci-fi sense, okay? When you hear dimension, you think alternate reality. It's not the alternate reality. It's this reality at a different frequency. And so the first thing I became aware of was my higher self. And, that was a trip. To realize that I exist outside of this body is something that is hard to grasp. And, you don't really believe it until you feel it. And so I don't expect anyone to believe me. Absolutely. I don't expect you to believe what I'm saying. But once you experience it, it's undeniable. And you can't, it's like, if you saw a car and someone asks you, did that car exist? You say yes, right? Because you saw it. And so that's the same way as psychic abilities. They say, how do you know you communicated with a higher dimensional entity? And you say, well, because I did, because I saw it. But I didn't see it. I used my psychic powers. It's weird. I've talked about this in the past. I don't want to dwell on that for this video. What I want to talk about is so once I discovered my higher self, the part of me that exists in the fifth dimension, the next thing I discovered was that I have spirit guides. And I quickly discovered that we all have spirit guides. And what that is that each of us as a human being, we have assistance from other entities who exist in the fifth and higher dimensions. And they assist us by helping guide us on this path, on this journey. When we incarnated on Earth, we all had a mission. Each of us chose what we wanted to do with this lifetime. And our guides are trying to keep us on that path. And they communicate with us in many different ways. But the best way to communicate with them is through meditation. That's when you turn off your ego mind. You turn off the part of your brain that says, I'm a human and, my name is such and such and I'm hungry. Turn off that part of your brain and just let that part of your brain kind of shut off for an hour. And then all of a sudden you can communicate with higher dimensional entities. And the first ones you're going to communicate with are your spirit guides. And they've basically been assigned to you to help you on your journey. And it's really awesome to know that you're not alone, not only in this universe, but, you're never alone, because at any time you can just go into a meditation. It takes 2 minutes and you can speak to them and you can communicate with them. I mean, depending on your psychic ability, like I've said, everyone has a different kind of ability psychically. It happens so that it so happens that mine allows me to basically have a conversation with my guides and they can give me information from the higher realms. That's why I know a lot of the things I know. That's why I seem to know a lot on these Creative Question of the Week videos, because I'm in communication with higher dimensional entities who are infinitely wise. Compared to a human, they're infinitely more wise. So that's how I kind of know a lot of the things that I know, is through communication with spirit guides. I think most people have like a main guide, and I have a main guide. And the first time this main guide appeared to me, he appeared to me in the form of, I don't know if you guys watch Game of Thrones, but remember those giants that were attacking the wall? He looks just like that. And what I learned later was that a lot of times, these spirit guides, they can't come to us in their true forms, because it would shock us and we would recoil in horror just from the disparity in our energetic levels. So what they'll do is they'll appear to us in a form that we can understand, that we can relate to. And he came to me in the form of a giant from Game of Thrones, because that's what my mind just chose to relate to, right? And my first communications with my guides were very, very crazy. Like crazy. Imagine suddenly realizing that aliens exist, basically. Like all of a sudden. And not only do they exist, you're talking to one. And it's nuts. And our guides are a lot of different things. Your guides can be a former human, someone who was human before and is now incarnated on the fifth dimension. Basically, is a light being. It could be an alien. It could, a different life form altogether. It could be a lot of different things. But I can't say what yours is. My guide appeared to me once. I asked to see its true form, and it showed me, and I can't even describe in words. Like if I had I couldn't even draw the thing. It looked crazy, and it was a light being, definitely. So it wasn't a giant from Game of Thrones. That's just the way I chose to perceive it, basically. And these guys are full of love and compassion. They want nothing except to see you flourish as a human being, realize your dreams, reach your goals. They're there 100% for support. They're there for your protection. If you ever need psychic protection, you can call on them, and they will create a sacred space for you and protect you from negative entities and negative energies. They're there for guidance. They can give you advice on ways to proceed on with problems that you have. They're there for support. If you need someone to talk to, if you feel alone, they'll always be there for you. And most people, I think, have like a main guide. It's kind of like the first guy that they meet, and then as you progress, as you like become a more spiritually advanced human being, as you start to learn more and understand more, then new guides will start to appear. And these guides, for me personally, I can only speak on me personally, but I started to meet more extraterrestrial type beings and beings from different star systems, basically. And I don't want to go in too much because I'm already over most of your heads. I realize that. Okay, I realize that this is crazy for a lot of you, and I don't fault you one bit. I don't expect you to believe me. I don't expect you to change your opinion of what reality is. I'm just telling you what I know. Okay, guys, and you can take it as entertainment if you want. You can take it as the gospel if you want, or you can take it as something to investigate. And that's the way I'm actually hoping you would take it. I don't expect to I've always said this, like, once I became psychic, once I realized my psychic potential, I realized that it's a lot easier to discern. It's a lot easier to know what's true and what's false, and that's because you have the assistance of your guides. They can help you. They know everything. They're tuned in, tapped into the cosmic awareness of all things. So, learning what is, or figuring out what is true and what is a lie, becomes almost a skill that's just natural to most psychics, and they can kind of know what's true and what's not, and it's just a part of being a psychic. It's because you're tapped into all that is. So I hope that where I was going with that is, I've learned that you have to figure out your own truth. Never, ever, ever take anyone's word for anything. Period. That goes for me. Never take anyone's word for anything. You have to figure out what your own truth is. And you're never going to figure out what your own truth is if you just believe what other people tell you. If you believe what they teach you in school, you will never figure out the real truth. If you just believe what the news tells you, you'll never learn the truth. If you just believe what the government tells you, you will never learn the truth. Because all of these institutions, their role in society is to hide the truth. They don't want you to know that you have spirit guides. They don't want you to know that you are an all-powerful being. They don't want you to know that you can tell when someone is lying and when they're telling the truth with 100% accuracy. Because if you did, then you would no longer be under their control. And while you're under their control, you will go to work and work your butt off your whole life, paying 35% to the government, and you will just be a cog in the machine. You'll basically be an ATM for them. And I say government, but it's not just the governments, okay, guys? I don't want to go too far into this right now, but I just want to, let's keep this focused on spirit guides. So the more closer attuned you are to your spirit guides, the more evolved of a human being you are. And if you have a support group, why not use it? So my suggestion to all of you watching this video is to meditate. Definitely learn how to meditate. That's the number one thing. It takes 10 minutes a day. You play Minecraft for 10 hours a day, you can meditate for 10 minutes. You watch TV for 3 hours a day, you can meditate for 10 minutes. Okay, you stare at the wall blankly for an hour, you can meditate for 10 minutes. And the reward is you evolve as a human being. I mean, what more reward do you need? So I encourage all of you to maybe try meditation with the hopes of contacting your spirit guides, and set that intent out there. If you set your intent that I want to meet my spirit guides, then your spirit guides hear you, and they will they'll try harder, not try harder, but they'll try different ways in order to reach you. And they reach you in all sorts of different ways. You just have to keep your eyes open for the signs, because they're all around you. It's just a matter of decoding them, the signs and symbols that your guides are putting in front of you, then with the intent of helping you become that higher evolved human being. So that is spirit guides. That's just the tip of the iceberg, my friends. That's just the tip of it, and that's what I've learned. And take it with a grain of salt. I encourage you all to do your own research, do your own meditation, and see what you find. All right, that's going to be the creative question of the week for today. Thank you to Atomic Zombie Slayer and everyone who asked a question. Be sure to leave a question in the comment section below, as well as talking about this. We'll have a discussion about spirit guides in the comment section. I can't wait to hear what you guys have to say. All right, that's going to do it for me. Leave a like if you enjoyed this. Happy Minecrafting. Peace.